Happy Monday, new week. It's February the 24th on Monday. The word for you today as we continue our devotional. By the way, the new devotionals are in. If you'd like to stop by the church and get one, or the office, or let us know and we'll mail you one. We'll make sure that you get it. Today's lesson is refuse to wear the label. It comes out of 1 Chronicles chapter 4, verse 9 and 10. It's in the Old Testament, 1 Chronicles 4, 9 and 10. It says, Jabez was more honorable than his brothers. His mother had named him Jabez, saying, I gave birth to him in pain. Jabez cried out to the God of Israel, Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me and keep me from harm, so that I will be free from pain. And God granted his request. Now, Jabez says his mother named him Jabez because she gave birth to him in pain. Well, Jabez sounds like the Hebrew word for pain. And so, you ever had a nickname given to you? I think maybe most of us have. We learn a few things about Jabez in just a couple of verses here. First of all, we learned that he was more honorable than his brothers. Just a moment, we're going to look at his prayer, and that gives us a clue at what made him more honorable than his brothers. The second thing is his name meant sorrow or pain. Growing up in school, many of us had nicknames, and if you go to the same school, like from kindergarten to senior year in high school, you go all the way through, early in your elementary age, oftentimes you're labeled something, and that label follows with you. I remember a guy, and his name was Brian Kitchen, in 5th grade. He wrote a little poem. He said, Bruce the goose laid an egg and had a moose. And everybody thought that was funny. Well, most everybody. I didn't. But anyway, so I got called Goose or Moose for a long time. And then there was another time in junior high when we were taking pictures for the yearbook at the beginning of the year. And at the end of the year, I was running in track, and the track coach, he saw the picture at the beginning of the year, and he said, You look like a toad. Well, then that name stuck for a while. And it just, you can either get upset about being called a goose or a moose or a toad, or you can say, hey, no big deal, and go on. And that's what Jabez, rather than, he got the label of being pain. Rather than living with that label, what did he do? Well, he asked God for 4 things. Let's take a look at those. The first one, he said, Lord, bless me. Jabez was asking to enter into a covenant with God, where God would bless Jabez, and then Jabez would be faithful to God. So the first thing he did, he said, Lord, bless me. There's not a thing in the world wrong with asking God to bless us. There's nothing wrong with that. We just need to be willing to be faithful to him. The second thing, he says, enlarge my territory. What does that mean? It meant that he wanted, God, I know you have a plan for me. Give me more, Lord. I'm up to it. Give me more. I want to be used by you. I want to serve you more. I want to do more and more and more for you. So he asked God to bless him, asked him to enlarge his territory, and then he says, be with me, that your hand be with me. He wanted God's hand to guide him, to protect him, to direct him, to keep him secure, and even heal him. He asked for God's guidance and direction. And then the fourth thing, God, protect me. Protect me. Let your hand be with me and keep me from harm so that I will be free from pain. God alone knows what our future holds. And what Jabez was asking God, said, God, you know what my future holds. God, protect me. Protect me from doing things that I would be ashamed of, things that would disappoint you. God, protect me, keep me well, that I can serve you. Anything wrong with those prayers? Not a thing in the world wrong with those prayers. Now, if we do become ill or something, we don't turn on God, but we do the very best we can with what we have. So he asked God to bless him. He asked him to enlarge his territory, give him more responsibility. Ask God to be with him and to protect him. And then an interesting sentence after that. It says, and God granted his request. He asked for those 4 things, and God granted his requests. Now, God doesn't always do that. God has a plan for you and me. He has a plan for each person. And it doesn't hurt to ask God for something. Well, what if it's not? Well, God doesn't have to say yes. Just because we ask for it doesn't mean. Remember Paul? Paul asked God 3 times to take away the thorn in the flesh. 3 times God said no. Elijah was so discouraged he asked God, he has to die. God said no. We're to ask God to be a blessing. We're to ask God for his help in life. But in God's infinite wisdom, he'll decide what is best for us. Names, it's easy to be labeled something. But the most important person we want to hear from is God. Somebody did a little study and they found 18 doctors named Doctor. In other words, somebody named their child Doctor. And that person became a doctor. And another one was called Dr. Surgeon. Can you imagine being named surgeon? Your whole life you would be thinking about being a surgeon. Also, there was a dermatologist named Dr. Rash, a psychiatrist who goes by Dr. Couch, and an anesthesiologist named Dr. You got it, Gas, Dr. Gas. Has anybody given you a title, nickname? Maybe it was complimentary, maybe it wasn't. But you don't have to take that. You can be who God has called you to be. And ultimately, that's what we all want to do. So if somebody has labeled you a certain thing and you don't like it, no harm. Just ignore it and go on and be the person God called you to be. Have a good day.